What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I was checking out the NHL leading scorers page like I do every week, and I noticed a couple names that just aren't getting enough shine, aren't getting enough appreciation considering the amazing seasons that they are. So I thought I'd make a video highlighting 7 of the guys that I think are having fantastic near career years that are not getting nearly enough love. These are more star players to a degree. A couple of these guys are like second liners or low end first liners, but high end players that are playing absolutely amazing that aren't getting the shine that a Brock Besser, that a Sam Reinhart, some other guys that are also having career years seem to not be getting. So we're going to go through these 7. We got 1 defenseman, 1 goalie, and then I think 5 forwards. So let's dive into it. Up first, I got one of my favorite players in the entire NHL, Joel Eriksson, my doppelganger, as I call him. When looking at Joel Eriksson, 29 goals, 31 assists for 60 points in 66 games. He's going to smash his career high in points of 61, already passed his career high in goals of 26. He's on pace for 37 goals, 39 assists, 76 points. So when looking at that, considering he's also one of the best defensive centers in the entire NHL, plays some of the hardest competition in the entire NHL, locks up opposing top centermen on a nightly basis for the most part. The fact that he is near 40 and 40, above 35 and 35, while also being that good defensively, he's probably a no doubt top 20 center in the entire NHL, and around that 14 to 18 range, in my opinion, might be cracking the MB top 50 come July 15th when I do it this time around. Just so impressive. Obviously him, Boldy, and Kaprizov, ever since they've clicked together, like right before the All-Star break, they have been one of the best lines in the entire NHL, and the Minnesota Wild have like a 75% point percentage in their last 20 games. He's been great, and as a result, Minnesota is kind of kicking it into another gear, although they had a really rough start. I cannot wait to see a full season of those guys potentially being on the same line. It's going to be fantastic. Next up, Jonathan Marchessault. Killing it, dude. 37 goals in 65 games right now. Again, Brock Besser got a bunch of shine at the start. He's kind of slowed down. Sam Reinhart playing amazing, 46 or 47 goals at this point. But the fact that I have seen nobody talking about Jonathan Marchessault, who has 37 goals in 65 games, decent chance that he hits 45. Considering this guy won the goddamn Conn Smythe last year, I think I'm going to have no choice but to put him on the MB top 50 this July when looking at just how fantastic he's been. And the thing with him is, he's not even shooting at that ridiculous of a percentage. You look at a Brock Besser, 35 goals, shooting 19.4%. Not trying to shit on Brock Besser. He's a very, very good player. Sam Reinhart shooting 25.8%. That is not sustainable at all. Jonathan Marchessault is shooting 16.7%. Still high. Still not going to be a perennial 45-goal scorer. But if he continues to shoot in the high volumes that he is, he can hit 40 again next year. He can easily be 35. So when looking at Jonathan Marchessault, the fact that, again, this guy's a Conn Smythe winner, and I have not seen anybody talk about the fact that he's going to cruise past 40 goals, has been really impressive. He's probably been Vegas's most valuable player on the entire team right now, and they're probably going to make the playoffs, although they have kind of been slipping up of late, just lost to the Calgary Flames, but they've been fantastic. Jordan Binnington, it's weird because he is playing amazing this year, but he's getting underrated just because in prior years he was overrated so much. He obviously had that fantastic first year, a pretty solid sophomore year, but then went down rapidly, but people still hyped him up because he was a cup champ, because he had that amazing start. But now he's playing great. He has a .913 save percentage on not that good of a St. Louis Blues team. He has a 2.82 goals against. When looking at his advanced stats, he's 5th in the entire NHL in goals saved above expected with 16.2. He's sandwiched in between Igor Shesterkin and Jacob Markstrom. He is playing fantastic. He is really carrying the St. Louis Blues team. Again, a .913, and he's getting absolutely shelved. When looking at the St. Louis Blues, they rank 28th in the NHL in expected goals percentage at overall in the they're 31st in 5-on-5, 28th in all situations. But despite that, they're currently above 500. They should probably be a bottom 7, bottom 6 team in the entire NHL. They should be in that Ottawa, Montreal kind of tier, but they're not, because Binnington, as well as Joel Hofer, are also playing. He's also playing fantastic, but Binnington is having a really underrated season, and he probably won't get any Vezina votes just because of the reputation that has kind of formed around him, but I wouldn't say you're ridiculous. The thing with the Vezina is weird. Like, the other awards are 1 through 5. Vezina's only 1 through 3. But if it was 1 through 5, you can make a strong argument that he's been the 4th or 5th best goalie in the entire NHL this season. It has been very impressive. Staying in the Central Division, we have Gustav Nyquist. He signed a pretty dirt cheap 2-year, $3.185 million contract. Last year with the Columbus Blue Jackets and Minnesota Wild, he had an okay 27 points in 51 games. So you kind of expected this year in Nashville 45 points for $3.1 million. That would have been probably worth it and then some, but he's absolutely smashed that. He has 18 goals, 40 assists for 58 points in 67 games. He's on pace for 71 points. That's not a ton of goal scoring. More so Philip Forsberg's doing the goal scoring on that line, but him, Ryan O'Reilly, and Forsberg have been so fantastic this year for the Nashville Predators. The Nashville Predators team that's probably going to end up making the playoffs in large part because of that line at 5-on-5 this year. They've outscored opponents 35-20, as well as having solid underlying numbers, a 54% expected goals percentage. So when looking at Nyquist, he's really just revived his entire career. He was in a video I made a month ago about reviving career. His career high in points, not even revived his career, it's just his best season ever, because his career high in points were back in 2019 where he only had 60. So he's 2 points away from tying his career high with 15 games left. He has been fantastic. He's really flourished in terms of that line, just being that more so playmaker on that line, that dynamic, speedy winger. When looking at Nyquist, I have been very impressed from what I've seen, and no one's really talking about him. In fairness, because O'Reilly and Forsberg are getting more of that shine, but he's been great in his own right. A defenseman, Mike Matheson, although I don't think that he's going to be Montreal's future number one, or he is really like a true number one. The underlying numbers are not that good, especially defensively. The dude has 47 points in 66 games on a bottom 7 team in the entire NHL. His offensive production has been insane. He's a very, very good on the power play. He's a fantastic power play quarterback. And considering he's going to be sniffing nearly almost potentially get to 60 points, probably not actually. He needs like 13 in the final 16 games, but it's possible. It's possible considering he might be a 60-point defenseman that can play 25-32 a night. And the fact that the Canadiens traded this guy for Jeff Petrie, fantastic work by Kent Hughes on that. I think it was Kent Hughes. Might have not been actually. But still, fantastic. He's been fantastic for them. Not a top 15 defenseman in my opinion, but probably somewhere along 20 to 30. He's really emerged as a number one in Montreal again. Probably not a number one on a legit playoff team that wants to go far in the playoffs, but he has been very nice, and he's going to be a very good top four defenseman going forward. Once Lane Hudson, once David Reinbacher are up with the Montreal Canadiens, he's really going to fit nicely into a second pair, second power play kind of guy that can get you 40 to 45 points. He has been very underrated just because he plays on the Montreal Canadiens, but the production has been crazy. Next up, we got an underrated one. We got Trent Frederick. I know some of these other guys that I mentioned before were much more star players in terms of this, but I've been really impressed with Trent Frederick, and I haven't seen nearly enough people talk about him. 2 seasons ago, this guy was kind of just a fourth line grinder for the most part, kind of power forward, would absolutely lay you out, but didn't really offer a ton offensively. Last year, takes another step, 17 goals, 14 assists. And now this year, 17 goals, 19 assists in 68 games. He's developed into a very nice middle six guy for the Boston Bruins. Still lays out like 160 goddamn hits. That's how many he has right now. So the fact that he has emerged as this very good middle sixer, if he can possibly be the Boston Bruins, Tom Wilson over the next couple years in terms of a solid two-way guy that can get you around mid to low 20 goals and 20 assists, that is going to be massive for this Boston Bruins team that does need a ton of depth. That does need depth scoring, and especially considering they don't have really any prospects at all for the most part. Their prospect pool has basically been bottom 5 for the last like 3 or 4 years. Trent Frederick's emergence has been really impressive to me. A guy that I really did not expect much. I think he got on the scene because he fought like Alexander Ovechkin, or like there was some massive fight, but you didn't really hear much from him for like a year and a half. And now for him to be putting up this very impressive stat line of around 20 and 20, he's still only 24 or 25 years old. I think Trent Frederick can be a pretty decent player going forward. And then lastly, we have Valeri Nichushkin. Now, obviously, he's not getting a ton of shine because he did miss a decent amount of games. He was injured, and then he had to deal with player assistance. So he's missed around 20 games, but he has 25 goals, 22 assists, and 47 points in 43 games right now. So he's on pace for, like, if he was playing 82 games, like 45 goals and like 40 assists or something like that. He is playing insane. He's playing 21-52 a night. He has really solidified himself in that Landeskog left line role. He kind of fluctuates up the lineup, but he can play with Mikko Rantanen and McKinnon, but he's not relying on them by any means for his offense. He has just been such a fantastic pickup by the Colorado Avalanche in terms of a legit point per game guy. 2 years ago, he had 52 points in 62. Last year, he had 47 and 52. And this year, he's really emerging, especially as a goal threat. His goal numbers weren't that impressive in prior years. Valeri Nichushkin has become one of the better two-way wingers in the entire NHL. I don't think that that's that much of an exaggeration to say. So in terms of that, again, similarly to Boston, they needed guys to rise up and become these depth scorers. Nichushkin has smashed that. He's just became one of the best players on the team. In my opinion, Probably the third best forward on that team. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, not better than Casey Middlestad. He's better than Turlekin. They're both very good players. But Nichushkin has been fantastic for the Colorado Avalanche. Massive reason why they won in 2022. And he's fully emerging as a near, he's not going to get Selke votes because he's a winger, but a near Selke level defensive guy, as well as giving you 45 goal pace. It's absolutely insane. He was a great find by the Colorado Avalanche. So here's the 7. Doppelganger Joel Eriksson. Marchessault going to somehow score 45 goals at this goddamn point. Binnington should get some Vezina love, playing like a top 10 goalie, no doubt, this year. Gustav Nyquist going for 71-point pace right now. Mike Matheson going to get to 55 points, maybe 60. Trent Frederick, just 22 goal, 23 assist kind of pace. And then lastly, Valeri Nichushkin missed some games, but has been absolutely insane. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? What do you think about my picks? Drop some other picks down below in the comments. More of a positive video. We're shining some light on the guys. I've been far too critical on this page from time to time. So give me some of your underrated, more so star guys that are putting up very good stat lines, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.